In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up and scan using the S3 BIOPHOTONIC Scanner from Pharmanex. Now, the first thing we need to do is power up the device. Now, what you can see here on the right side of the power button is a blue Bluetooth button that's flashing. Now, sometimes if this device hasn't been started for several hours, that won't flash. So what you'll need to do is hold the button in until it starts to flash. The device now is ready for the iPad to connect to it. So if you turn on the iPad and then launch the S3 scanner software, it will automatically look for the scanner as soon as we fire the device up. Now, you may get a notice to say that it's actually failed to connect. What you will see here where it says connected, it will show the device unconnected. If you get that icon, you pull it down and then it will reconnect the device. Now, if the device hasn't been used for over 24 hours, we have to do what's called a dark scan, and that's essentially some form of calibration. So with the device powered on, with the cap on, we actually select dark scan, which will take 30 seconds, the same amount of time that it takes to do a full scan. So if we just let that through. We also have, as you can see below, something called an operator scan. Now this generally will be kept up to date, and I believe it's about 24 days. Every 24 days we actually have to do an operator scan. But generally if you have the device, then we will ensure that that never actually runs out. Okay, it's performed a dark scan, so the device is now ready to actually carry out a scan. So what we actually need to do is ensure that when you have picked up the device and you've powered it on for the first time, you actually need to ensure that you are down as the operator. So I'm already selected, but let's say here it was Sarah that's going to be using it. Sarah needs to select her name and choose current operator, and yes. Now we can see that Sarah is the current operator. What that actually means with relation to the scanner is when somebody's scanned, they will receive an email from Pharmanex, but in this instance it will have Sarah's contact details. When I revert it back to myself now, they will get an email from me with my contact details. So we've now got the correct operator, so we're going to perform our first scan. So we go to the scan icon on the left hand side, and then we can either use scan credits, as which this has got 54 left at the moment, or we can use a scan card. If we use a scan card or somebody that's already got an ADR in place and an existing scan card, we select use scan card, and then what we can see here is the camera is now started up. So if I actually just grab a scan card, if we have an existing one in place or a brand new one, we literally line up the camera with the scan card, and as you can see it's actually pulled the number off the scan card. Now we're not going to use it in this instance, we're actually going to use a scan credit. So I'll just move that out of the way, put this back down. So we use a scan credit and I'm going to scan myself. So the only options that we can put at this stage are our first name and last name. I often get the actual user to and hand them the iPad and actually get them to do this, so a bit of interaction that sort of goes on. So what I'll do, I'll just bring the scanner in front now, and it's now ready and waiting for my hand. So I'm going to take the cap off. Please ensure that you put the cap back on as soon as you have scanned. This is a very sensitive instrument. What you need to do is make sure that there is proper contact between the flesh of the hand and the actual nozzle of the device, and ensure that the person doesn't actually move their hand during the process. I'm now going to minimise the keyboard down, and it's now sensing. And it's now performing the scan. As you can see, we have the shading that comes around from the left and from the right. And we're about 5-10 seconds to go, and we should have the result. Okay, perfect. We've got a pretty good score there on myself. That's 74,000. So what we've done when we've actually taken the scan is we can then put in the user's the customer's email address. So I'm going to put in my own email address here. and we select done. Now we've got just a confirmation page which shows the score and it shows their email address. It's also got the reference just below their email address which they would use to put against an ADR. So if they go ahead now and wish to purchase an ADR of LifePack, then they use that against it, and that validates their 3-month guarantee. So we've verified all the information is correct. It's obviously going from me to me. So I'll get an email that says Dear Dave, etc. with my name at the bottom and then my contact number, and then we press send. Now, as you can see, that's sat there as a record and it had a number 1. That said it was outstanding. So what that actually means is when it's on Wi-Fi, the scan result will go straight away to the customer. Can take a few hours to go through Alexis servers. If, however, you're out and about and you haven't got it linked to Wi-Fi, then it will just sit there as a record pending. And we then, as soon as we hook it up to Wi-Fi, it will then send that out. But I would add, if you're not going to have the device connected for a day, several days, it may be worth just tethering via the Wi-Fi to your phone or public Wi-Fi hotspot, something like that, to actually get the records out rather than leaving it 2 or 3 days before it actually gets sent out. So that is a scan done. Once we've actually finished, we can then just close the software, turn off the iPad, and then just power down the device holding the power button, and we've completed our first scan.